The Aquilon Pattern Terminators from the Horus Heresy are some of the better engineered JOYTOY figures I've seen so far. The old issues with weak articulations, broken joints, missing pieces, weak hands have been disappearing in the years, and in my opinion here we have reached the top engineering quality. And they are also some of the larger non-primarch figures so far. Well, at least it may be justified by Warhammer lore. These guys are truly massive compared to normal space marines. The only thing that I don't like are those closed fists that look like big golden blobs. JOYTOY has been pretty lazy with finishing touches with golden paint, no highlights or shading or even inking. I think that these figures will have deserved more, but let's see in detail. While we unbox our bioengineered superhuman from his pretty standard packaging, we can immediately spot two things. First one is the huge body size, and second, there is not much in terms of equipment. They are all armed with a closed power fist and a fire weapon which is different depending on the model. And this Terminator specifically is armed with the Infernus fire pike, which is a glorified flamethrower. And he also has additional lightning claws for an improved coolness factor. Ah no, in reality they also have this additional dagger that can be wielded if desired, but it seems positioned in the most uncomfortable place ever, and it looks a bit odd once you post this human tank in the shelves, but we are to criticize the Emperor's finest. The pauldrons have the now standard ball-jointed articulation, and it is not a problem fully rotating both arms, thanks also to the body armor shape that has no fancy sculpts stopping them from doing this unnatural movement. The arms can also flex comfortably at about 90 degrees, but do not expect to do any crazy dynamic poses. To be honest, this Misericordia knife, posed in the front, it is the biggest impediment for its movement. Quite annoying since you keep trying to work around it in all possible ways. On the back we have exhaust, two steel connectors and a red plume that helps breaking the paint monotony. If we look at those massive legs instead, we have a great armor design with lovely rivets, but again a flat paint job. Chain guards have here a completely golden paint, while for the other two Terminators they are painted in black. I like the latter paint scheme more. All gold figures, especially without dry brushing, look pretty dull and somewhat toyish. Definitely something to improve on in the future. If we compare the other body parts, the overall design is pretty much the same, so it is more about spot the differences game. There are subtle differences with the legs, the collar, the pauldrons and the head. Nothing incredible, and the casual look will hardly spot them. The closed fist power fists are probably the biggest difference, especially in the case where the lightning claws definitely pop up. I like the other power fist design too, and those blue gems are other little touches that help making the design less boring. Everything is neatly painted, no bleeding or evident defects. Leg articulations are pretty good for front and back movements, less so on the side because of those cool but invasive armor plates at the hips. Overall, the sculpt and the paint job are very good, but could have been excellent with some additional care. By the way, that annoying Misericordia keeps popping out every single time. You move the chest around and this falls off, since it is huge and right on the front. Very unfortunate design that forces you to handle with care. But everything else is rock solid. A nice addition is the presence of bare heads, with classical screaming guy, but with the awful mohawk haircut, and two more conventional stoic persons. Sculpts and paint are nice, very clean and sharp, without any bleeding. Eyes are also pretty straight, which is always welcome. The different designs may or may not appeal people, but there is opportunity for some army building if you are creating your personal strike force. The fire weapons include the fire pike, which has the typical custodian iconography and paint scheme. Again, a clean paint job, but they could have gone the extra mile to make the design look like more worn out, especially for the muzzle brake. The twin-linked Adratic Distractor is a disintegrator ray pistol that looks to me like a weaponized toaster. Finally, we have a more conventional Stormbolter, of course with a fancier design worth of a selected transhuman warrior. I would have expected some more heavy weapons honestly, but they can level cities even with these ones, I guess. Altogether, the trio is worth an entire army. They are bulky, well designed, and they can still move surprisingly well despite their heavy-duty design. Articulations are solid, they move as expected, and they can keep position without any problems. No risk of hands falling down or weak wrist joints. The sculpts are great, with many details hidden here and there, but it seems to me that they stopped before moving to excellency with these figures. Even some highlights here and there, and inking around the pauldrons and other small reliefs will have greatly increased the premium feeling of these Sons of the Emperor. As they are an awesome addition to any Warhammer-oriented shelf, and my only regret is that they could have been even better with not much more of additional effort. And finally, we can compare their grittiness in actual physical comparison. And we can start from a tiny Sister of Silence, who looks really small compared to these giants, and rightfully so, I will say. They complement each other in a nice way, and I think they will be great to be displayed together. And when we talk about different paint jobs, the Allowed's Terminator is the first one that comes to my mind. Yes, there are many shades of gold in JOYTOY's inventory, but highlights really improve the overall figure's design in my opinion, like the other little custodian is showing us. But let's bring in some Space Marine Terminators, like the Space Wolf Praetor in Tartaros Terminator armor. He's huge, but not enough. And the same for our blonde Crimson Paladin and his heavily decorated Cataphracti Terminator armor. And even if they are different lineups and generation, we bring in the older Chaos Sorcerer Lord in Terminator armor, just for the fun. And then the bigger Deathwing Knights in Terminator armor, which are still my favorite Indomitus Terminator models released by JOYTOY. Then my upgraded Terminator 1.0 with Cyclone missile launcher that can almost stand in comparison for the overall size. Even the huge chaplain in Terminator armor must bend the knee in front of the golden superhumans, but it can flex the awesome power shield. I like the chapter champion's helmet and how it looks like a miniaturized version of the Terminator's helmet. Still, he looks like a kid, but they are different lineups, so we only compare them for fun. And because of this, we cannot ignore our little Krieg medic, eternally looking for fellow comrades to help. Finally, here comes Warmaster Horus to bring swift justice to these servants of the false emperor, and showing off who is the tallest guy in the shelves. And if you are curious, we are not yet at 1/12 scale, but we are getting closer. We will check again in a couple of years. So in the end, this Terminator trio is another example of the good and bad of the current Warhammer figures. Top engineering, very good paint job that could be improved to achieve greater levels of excellence, and huge sides that put every other previous figure on shame. Definitely sides consistency is something that should have deserved better attention, but for whatever reason this is what we have today. If you like the Custodes, you will need at least one of these. The Firepike weapon is my favorite, but I prefer the other two because of the less monotone paint job. As always, it is a matter of personal tastes, so pick and choose is the way to go. Having said that, I wish you a nice rest of the day trying to make this golden paint look less flat.